Hey everybody, it's Debbie back with Ron for another edition of Ask Ron. We've got about 5 great questions, so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, Ron, our first question comes from Jane Stoker. Jane writes in, do you have a maximum amount that can be over leveraged? For example, $50,000, and after that the deal is dead, or do you always look at the whole?
Got it. Okay, Jane, hello. Where's Jane from? I bet she doesn't say.
Jane did not say.
Oh, that's too bad. Jane, and all of you, gotta tell us where you're from. How many times I gotta say this? All right, the answer to your question is, which is one I get quite a lot, honestly, and it's a good question. How far it is over leveraged. I know this is going to be difficult for you to internalize, because it sure was for me when I started, but how far it's over leveraged is not the issue. What the payment is the issue. It is not hard to find a tenant buyer to put them into a house on a long-term lease with as long as the payment is tolerable. They just don't seem to care about what's owed on the property if they got 10 years to stay in the house. Because worst case, if the equity doesn't catch back up, they can always go short sell the house if they ever do want to get around to buying it, pay cash for it, and get that thing reduced anyway. Or they're going to just go away and find another place. It is, you know, if somebody comes in and gives you $5,000, $10,000 to live in this beautiful house for 10 years and call it their own, if they never buy it, they still got a great, great, great deal. So the amount it's over financed is not the issue. Do not let that stop you from doing a deal. Payment might. Okay?
Okay, great. All right, next question is from Aaron Williams.
And where's Aaron from?
Let's see if Aaron said. Aaron did not say.
All right.
Okay, he gives you an example here. He's got ARV and loan and then some other information. Then he's got his question. The ARV is $150,000.
Got it. 150 ARV.
Loan is $125,000.
Loan 125.
The seller's 2 payments behind.
2 payments behind of.
I'm guessing that they're
the payment?
$1,200 a month.
$1,200 a month. So
House needs $2,000 worth of work.
all right.
Okay, so seller will deed you the property and doesn't care about their credit. You find someone you can deed the property to, and they will write you a check for $10,000. The question is, how does the new seller contact the bank when they have questions about the loan? Do they get a blank authorization or power of attorney?
All right. Aaron, first of all, that is a good axe deal. It's not one you want to buy and pay closing costs on because of the payment. The payment is top of the market. However, a buyer would gladly go in there and take over that $1,200 payment, as the seller did, the one you're buying it from. So you put it under contract for the $125,000, and then you go find somebody that'll bring you in whatever they'll bring you in cash, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, wherever you can get. And of course, the payments have to be made up out of that now at the time that you close. So you're going to sign your contract to the buyer. The attorney is going to make sure that loan is current when the buyer buys and closes on the house. Now, to answer your question, you should never let your buyer contact the bank. If you let your buyer contact the bank, you could create a mess. All you do is take the payment book and hand it to the buyer, or let the attorney do it at closing, and tell the buyer, do not contact the bank. You're taking over this debt subject to. You do not have the right to talk to the bank. They will not talk to you. And if you call them, you might create a problem for yourself. So the buyer should be a little bit educated here. Just make the payment, make sure the loan number's on the bottom corner of the check, and put the seller's name on the bottom lower left-hand corner of the check. Just send the payment in every single month, and don't worry about it. And if the seller gets information, the seller will know to forward it to the buyer. And that's how it works until the buyer sometime in the future gets it paid off. But do not call the bank. Do not stir up anything at the bank. You might just make your own mess.
Oh boy.
Okay?
Okay, next question is from Mercedes Quintanilla.
And where's Mercedes from?
She did not say either.
What a surprise.
Okay, her question is about subject to and insurance. When closing a subject to transaction, how are we named in the existing insurance?
All right, I know the answer.
Okay.
All right. I get this question a lot as well. Mercedes, when you buy a house, the seller's insurance is no longer valid. The seller must cancel their insurance because A, it's homeowner's insurance. When you buy it, it's landlord's insurance. So as long as you're going to own that house, you need a landlord policy. It's not how you're named, it is your policy. The seller comes totally off of it. The insurance company that you put the policy in place with will get the name of the mortgagee. They will send notice to the bank that there's a new policy on the property, and no, it will not trigger the due on sale clause, but that's up to them. So the seller cancels their insurance, and the buyer, and you get a policy on it, which is cheaper than theirs because it's a landlord policy, and the insurance company takes care of it from there, and you don't worry about it.
Okay, great. All right, Mercedes actually had another question too, Ron.
Okay.
How do you fill the contract in the buyer namespace when you are using a land trust? What would be the name of the buyer?
The name of the buyer is the name of the trustee. So you put ABC Corp as trustee as the buyer. Now, I'm assuming you're doing this with a FSBO. If you're doing this with a bank now, most of them will accept it, some of them won't. But just remember, if it's a bank property, you must close in that name. They will not let you switch names on them. So it's ABC Corp or ABC LLC or whatever it is as trustee. That's how you fill in the blanks.
Okay. All right, our last question comes from Karen Kane. And guess what, Ron? She's our star student of the week.
Yes.
Because she gave us her state.
How about that, Karen?
Karen's
1 out of
from
5.
California.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
California.
Karen says, I understand it's common practice to use attorneys in real estate transactions in Florida. In California, it is not. We go to the title company. I believe it's wise to have an attorney review non-CAR contracts. California Association of Realtors.
Yes.
But after that, if you were in California, would you still use an attorney or would you use a trusted escrow title agent?
All right, now you listen to me, girl, and listen closely. It makes no difference what state you're in. Any time that you have an ongoing relationship with the seller or the buyer, or have any kind of a transaction where they could come back on you later, please use your attorney. Your escrow company in California does not represent you. They will not be there if you ever get jammed up by a seller or buyer. They are not responsible for the documents that they even prepare. Please take my advice, and it makes no difference whether it's California, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, or Canada. We always use an attorney when we're buying and selling, with the possible exception of cash deals. We don't need them for that. And just for the record, most people use title companies here in Florida too. And I beat on them as much as I'm beating on you right now. Get your own attorney and let the attorney do what they do best. Prepare agreements and protect your butt. And only attorneys are going to do that. And besides, most of the time, the buyer's paying them anyway. Why wouldn't you do it? Do it, girl.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for all the great questions. We'll see you next week for another edition.
All right. Bye.